All right, we got P-Goy here. We're doing our TCF top 3 of all-time wrestlers. So, P-Goy, being you don't always hop on these, you're the wrestling guy around here. We're going to give you the honor of going 1-1 tonight.
All right, well, I don't know if it's like the overall 1-1, but my overall 1-1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Damn you.
I like that a lot.
There's and I won't say names of other picks, but like we are all a product of the Attitude Era. So like, and I think that's what made Stone Cold so great is he caught lightning in a bottle where he was like, people wanted to see that guy who gave the big like, F you to the boss.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so he was like this rebellious character in the early to mid 90s who just, caught the wrestling world by storm and he took off. Some of his famous scenes were like the beer truck scene when he put a pile of horse shit in Mr. McMahon's office, when he
in the beer truck.
Yeah, the beer truck. He destroyed a bunch of cars with like heavy machinery. Like he was the
awesome.
guy. And he was the guy that, like I said, he just took over because he appealed to so many like the regular dudes who worked like 9 to 5s, and then they wanted to just tell their boss to go fuck off, and they were like, but they couldn't do it. So he like embodied all of that. So yeah, Stone Cold, easy 1-1 for me.
Good pick, Zach.
I'm gonna go second. I'm gonna go with Triple H because that's the same thing with me. When I was growing up, it was D-Generation X, and his walkout was so intimidating and so awesome to me that, and now he's still involved with Triple H or with WWE because he is married to Stephanie McMahon. But he was so cool. Him and Shawn Michaels.
Dude, the even his entrance music, the game by Motorhead is like, you put
time to play the game.
You put it on in like a weight room with a bunch of high school kids looking for football. They just they go nuts.
Comes out and he has the water in his mouth. He just spits the water. Like, oh, that's so cool.
I mean, and then when he
long
was in
hair
prime too, like he was enormous.
Yes.
Yeah. I admittedly am not the biggest wrestling guy, so I'm going to go off with the guys I just liked. They might not be the best wrestlers.
Well, that's wrestling, Boomy.
Exactly. You're right. You make a valid point. I'm going to go, and you can tell me if this is vetoed, but I'm just going to go Mick Foley because Mick Foley played
you took mine. I was going to say Mankind.
Because he had so many characters. On his Wikipedia, ring names, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Cactus Jack Manson, Jack Foley, Mankind, Mick Foley, Santa Claus, Saint Mick. I mean, this guy was also a professional wrestler.
I don't mean to be rude, and I don't mean to be rude in any way, but this is like you going out there and being a wrestler because
he's very much
you're in good shape. I'm not saying you're not in good shape, but this guy, he wasn't looking like the guys who are the Triple H's and stuff like that.
He doesn't look like Brady Booker, that's for sure.
Very true.
Oh, God.
And he's getting thrown off the top of cages, and the way he could just, in a way, take a beating.
Yeah.
Throw him into what was he thrown into? Like a bunch of tacks one time.
Yes.
Oh,
and I remember there's
the
famous GIF of him going off the top of the cage.
Oof.
That's him, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker throws him off.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't know. So your homework is to go watch that match. It's 1998. It's called Bad Blood in Your House was the pay-per-view name. He gets thrown off the top of the cell through the announce table, gets on a stretcher halfway up the ramp, comes back in, then goes back in the cell, and then that's when you see the infamous Undertaker through the cell too. So he goes off that twice. And
it's one of the best calls too, because they're like, oh my gosh, this man may be dead.
He might he's as God is my witness, he's broken in half.
He's broken in half because a human body, whatever you want to say about wrestling in that moment, that's as real as it can get.
Yeah, that's not fake. Like people, it's not fake.
All right, I'll give my second round pick here, and this might be lame. I don't care. I like him. John Cena is my second round pick. He's just jacked. He had his own rap song as his entrances, and like I'm becoming more of a softie now. So like the the kids with cancer stuff that he does, I like John Cena, and I think he's a perfect perfectly average actor. And in the rest, I mean, the jerseys, you guys know
the
me,
hair
I'm a
was
big jersey
confusing
guy.
though.
Yeah, a little bit. But and like his media personality, so like after, I mean, I'm sure, he still wrestles or whatever, but like him going on like Pardon My Take and all these other interviews I've seen him on, he has a personality and he's pretty funny. And I like him. John Cena is my second round pick.
And I think people have a hard time compartmentalizing like the WWE character versus like the guys that want to use their platform to do other things.
Especially nowadays, because WWE pretty much has like their own movie making company. Like that's just how it's gonna do. That's how it's gonna work.
Right.
So my second pick, it's got to be the Undertaker. I talked about I talked about Triple H's intro. When he comes in, when the Undertaker and it hits and it just gets completely dark and you didn't know where he was and he would just pop up behind you in the ring. That was one of the coolest things you could watch. Also scary.
Even going back to a couple of years ago when he was still, not so much a novelty but he was like still kind of like a regular guy that would build towards bigger shows. When the gong hit and the lights go out, the place just went nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Pigo, you got two here. Second and third round. Who you got?
All right. Well, I'm gonna stick with my theme of the late mid '90s, and there is no Stone Cold without the Mr. McMahon character. So I'm gonna I'm taking.
You're
Mr.
talking
McMahon
about the character who literally blew up his limo.
Yeah, he faked his own death.
That was crazy. I was so confused. I watched that night live. I went to my dad. I'm like, what's going on here? Is this real?
Well, that's the thing is he. I mean, he knew what he had as far as the Attitude Era in the '90s, and he was not afraid to, push the envelope.
He's a genius.
As far as but that's
without a doubt,
you don't get that lightning in a bottle, like that fire through the whole era without him doing what he did and then Stone Cold revolting against him. So
he was willing to play the villain in his own company.
That's a good pick.
He played like disowning his own kids for the betterment of his own company. Mm-hmm. So I think I think those two go hand in hand, obviously. And then there's a bunch of different ways I can go with this one, but I'm going to stick with the era. I'm going to take Shawn Michaels. Mr. WrestleMania.
Oh, I love that pick. I love that pick. That's a great pick, Pigoy. The Heartbreak Kid.
Do you
remember that moment when he was against Ric Flair? I don't remember what it was, and he had to give him the what was his finisher?
The Sweet Chin Music.
The Sweet Chin Music. He's like, "I love you," and he had to do it. Like that was one of the most heartbreaking moments I've ever watched.
That was WrestleMania 28, I think is what it was. Yep.
That was that's a great pick, Pigoy. My last pick, like you said, there's no Vince McMahon or no Stone Cold without Vince McMahon. Either way, there's no Kane without Undertaker. No Undertaker without Kane. Kane was just the flames, and he would come out, he'd lift his arms, and boom, and then now he's like the mayor of some town. But that character was awesome.
And Zach, like you were kind of the reason I watched a little bit of wrestling when I was little. I legitimately and I think everybody's guilty of this. Like we all thought they were brothers, like in real life.
Well, and he went from the suit with like the fake hair or whatever the hair was, and then he went bald and he showed his face, and that was
corporate Kane.
That was cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's wrestling. Like Undertaker, Kane, like those characters. Well, characters you're going to remember forever.
And he actually debuted in after a Hell in a Cell match that Undertaker was a part of, and like they have been building this story for a while that Undertaker had like a brother, and that Paul Bearer had another son that they weren't telling anybody about, and they just built it up so great. And he came out, the fire shot out, and he comes out, and Kane goes down to the cell and just rips the fucking door right off of it. And just stands right next to him. And like you think Undertaker's big? He was bigger than he was.
Yeah.
It's just this massive human.
All right, going back a little bit
holy
to when I used to watch wrestling with my dad. Nothing was better than when they would end like a Monday Night Raw with Kane, and he'd just either won a match or like scared somebody away, and he'd go boom, and it'd go dun, 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 and there's just flames like around the ring, and you're just like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's just cool.
That's cool. Like wrestling is what it is, but the way you can like have these characters like they used to have, awesome.
Absolutely.
But that's what's like. That's also what's great about just it in general is that a lot of characters appeal to a lot of different people. So like,
yeah, like
we all
the
have
Mick
our
Foley's, like
yeah.
like his characters portrayed like or go towards so many different kinds. Yeah, like different people and stuff like that. And then Kane, he has two different sides, and he has the mask, and then he takes the mask off, like the Undertaker and stuff like that. And John Cena, like even John Cena, he's been the good guy, bad guy, or The Rock when he was the bad guy. Like these guys have gone back and forth on good guy, bad guy, and it's just fun to see.
Definitely. I'll finish this up, Mr. Irrelevant, and I'm going to stay true to myself, to a guy I liked a lot. He was just, it seemed like a ball of energy, and that's Rey Mysterio. Love the mask, love the Lucha Libre mask. I was a big Rey, and when he would jump off the ropes and wrap his legs around guys, I love that. I was a big Rey Mysterio fan. Do you guys like Rey Mysterio?
Oh, that's the 619.
Oh yeah, where it is.
The 619.
But of all the finishing moves though, like to somebody to just keep sitting there on the what's it, turnbuckles or whatever, and just lay there, I don't know.
But that's what
Rey Mysterio was just a ball of energy, and I loved it.
What was awesome about his too was like he was the David to a lot of the Goliaths out there too. Like they let him.
Oh yeah. Wasn't there like a match with him and like the Big Show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They let him go over on all these big guys, and they kept his like, little, like the little guy that could energy. They kept it going too. Like they never like you see all the time like these guys go out against these huge guys and they just get squashed in 30 seconds. But like they let Mysterio build his character up so much a lot of different times where he was. Again, he appealed to the guy, the underdogs, and he appealed to so many guys that could, take down the big giant.
Wouldn't you, as that character, though, want to take that mask off?
You'd think so. You want people to know your face, a little game recognition.
But that's
mask
huge
off,
thing too,
like Future said.
That's the huge thing too with these lucha guys, where like it's so a sacred thing to have like not show your face. So they'll always tease it where they'll have somebody try to take his mask off, then somebody will come in and rescue him. Like that's a big thing with a lot of the lucha guys.
Brady mentioned something about that. Honorable mentions. Let me throw out Zach. You had one of my favorite, best intro. Well, it's the big show.
And
that was one of my favorites. I'm gonna go real quick.
Ric Flair is tough because we didn't actually watch Ric Flair.
But he cut the best promo in wrestling history.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like you're talking to.
How many? Yep.
Yep. He was a great one. I had a couple here real quick. Sting, for some reason, I like that weird face paint. I enjoyed. Daniel Bryan, just because of the gift, the yes. I use that all the time.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys. I liked Goldberg a lot when I was little. I thought he was just kind of like a knockoff Stone Cold. Weird. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Goldberg. Okay, all right, wrong Goldberg.
And let's see. I had one other one that I became a fan of because Zach gave me a wrestling magazine when I was about 9 years old that he had. Booker T was one of my favorite wrestlers of the 90s, and I don't really know why, but he had like this like scissor kick thing that I just loved. I was a big Booker T fan for about 2 years when I was 9.
When he would cut his promos after he won his 5th title, he'd always say, "You're 5-time, 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 5-time." He'd always say the word 5 times. He'd say it 5 times. That was great. You want to talk about great pops for entrances? It'd be the Road Dogg and Jesse James, the New Age Outlaws. You didn't know? That was a great one. And then a couple other ones that came to my mind. Who's still going? Chris Jericho. I almost picked him too. You want to talk about a guy who could talk on the mic? Like he was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say, The Rock. Obviously, he was
The
really
Rock.
big when we were growing up, but
I
obviously where he's
went
been
him
now.
too because those Rock, McMahon, and Austin were so intertwined in the peak of what we watched when we were kids. But I mean, there's no bad pick in a lot of those guys too.
I think one of the coolest is Shane McMahon. I mean, that guy, he didn't have to do that, and he would jump off of like the cells and stuff. It's like, oh my gosh.
He clearly was not a professional wrestler. Did you ever watch
I
him
love
try
this
to do
intro.
it?
Here comes the money.
Yeah, like Shane just went out there and just didn't give a shit. Like, because he didn't have. If you ever watched him, like, he just clearly not on par with some of the guys like in the ring. But he would just throw himself out there and be like, "Yeah, just beat the shit out of me for 30 minutes, and we'll put on a great show."
Any others, boys? Who was the big fat guy? Rafiki or Rikishi? I remember because he would always put his butt in people's faces. That was funny when I was 10. That was just funny. Zach, any others?
The Great Khali.
Yep.
He was in Longest Yard.
That's right. Any others, P-Goy?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of them are now current, but like, I don't think they were with WWE anymore. But like, Adam Cole's really good. CM Punk, shout out CM Punk, Chicago guy. He's back.
Yep. That is a good point.
I tweeted this a while ago. He was on the desk with David Kaplan and a couple other guys when the Cubs won the World Series. He was like part of the coverage team for the parade.
Yeah, big Chicago fan.
Yeah. Oh, big Chicago fan.
Well, P-Goy, where can the people find you on Twitter, my man?
Follow our main page at _Chicago. We post all of our stuff there.
That
trying
is
to blog
P-Goy.
some more. Trying to blog some more, but I'm about what's today? September. Like 3 months from finishing graduate school, so I'm just kind of wanting to get that shit done with, so I can get back to real life. So we'll try to blog some more, but at _Chicago, follow all that stuff, and that's almost me. I do pump the Bears content for all of our people out there, so shout out me for doing that.
Shout out you for doing that.
Shout out for you. You have to live through having Kirk Cousins as your quarterback.
I don't even know if it's that. Like, it's just like being a Vikings fan it's just the same story every fucking season. It's just we have Kirk Cousins plays a great game. Kicker missed the field goal. I mean, it's just I feel like I'm going nuts. Like, it's just
you were so close. You were so close.
If you're in the head of a Vikings fan, you'll watch the game and it'll all be going great. And then the guy that like cranks the cymbals on the monkey that smashes him with his hands, and the noise will stop. And then all of a sudden, here comes the kicker to win the game, and just goes bang, 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 bang.
And your head goes in between the cymbals, just boom, boom.
I mean, it's just.
And it's Kirk Cousins who's hitting you in the head.
And he's the guy cranking the freaking thing on the monkey to turn it around again. So I'd rather tweet about the Bears because they're exciting in this aspect this year, as opposed to just like, Vikings. Whatever.
Same old story.
It's whatever. Like this season actually for Minnesota could go really bad if they lose like 2 in a row again. Like if they go 0-4, it's gonna be, oh boy.
But again, follow at _Chicago. Follow it.
Yep.
P-Goy runs that, so shout out to P-Goy for that.
And thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, you want to talk some wrestling? We'll cut it up anytime, boys.
Next time we have Brady on, we'll have to get you in there.
Oh, I would love to, and I know I put some questions, but I'd love to just pick his brain about because that's the thing. We all watched that in the 90s and we're like, how cool would that be to be able to do that?
And he's doing it.
And that's what he's doing. Like, I mean, he's every 30-year-old guy now. Like that's the dream.
He even says in the interview, he's like, "This is my life and this is awesome."
God damn it! I'm so jealous.